Hi, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how to draw this realistic eye using single charcoal pencil. So let's get started. So these are the art supplies I'm going to use for this drawing, and you can pause the video right here to note them down. I'm using this A3 size paper from my toned grey mixed media paper pad, and the drawing portion area is 11 x 14 inches. So before this dude flips out with envy and starts saying, "Cheater, great lines, no talent," I got some damn good news for you. Today I'm going to show you the entire drawing process from the initial outlining to the final details. So first of all, I'm going to draw the freehand outline, and all you have to do is make a rough outline or small circle for the pupil of the eye. Then make a bigger circle around it depicting the outline of the iris, just like this. Charcoal pencils usually come in 3 different grades: hard, medium and soft. The soft and medium ones require less pressure and can turn into powder very easily, while the hard ones need a little bit more pressure. I'm using an edge pencil, but you can use any of them, as the only difference is in the softness of the charcoal. I'll be switching between hard and medium pencils throughout this drawing. The type of eye I'm drawing today is rounded almond shape, and the upper eyelid is usually intersecting the iris in these type of eye shapes. So I'm going to make an arc like this to intersect the upper portion of the iris. Always start by lightly sketching the basic shapes and outlines of your drawing. This allows you to make adjustment very easily without leaving heavy and stubborn marks. Now I'm extending the outline for the lower eyelid portion and tear duct portion as well. I'm also drawing another arc over the upper eyelid as well as below the lower eyelid to give the eyelids proper shape and form. As the rough outline is done, I'm adding a base layer for the iris texture and filling the iris with these light strokes and lines starting from the pupil. And by the way, the real-time version of this tutorial is available on my Patreon profile. So if you want to see all these details up close and in real time, you can visit my Patreon profile. Link is in the description. Charcoal is a versatile medium that allows you to layer, and you can easily blend it to create depth and dimensions. So I'm adding the second layer with slightly smaller but thicker strokes starting from the outline of the iris and moving towards the center of the pupil. I'm using the same edge charcoal pencil for this purpose, but I'm keeping the pressure variable to control the intensity of these textural lines. Before moving further in the drawing, I'm erasing the upper extra portion of the iris using an ordinary eraser. As charcoal is a delicate medium and can break easily, so if you don't have a charcoal sharpener, you can sharp it using a sharp craft knife like this to get your desired thickness and length. Now I'm using a medium-sized dry brush with circular scribbling motion to blend the charcoal powder in the iris. This technique helps create transition between lighter and darker areas. I'm using the leftover charcoal that is stuck in the bristles of the brush to lightly shade this clara as well. Now to achieve this smooth and seamless base, I'm using a clean tissue paper to blend this layer thoroughly. And by the way, you can get access to our premium content and support this channel through Patreon. You can sign up through different membership levels and get access to all the outline and grid references, etc. We have an ever-growing library of hundreds of exclusive and real-time tutorials, and you will also get access to 4 new tutorials every month. You can also post your artworks in our active community of patrons and participate in our weekly critique sessions where I give my honest and positive critiques on your artworks, so you can improve your skills and get better with your drawing. Visit the link in description and become a premium member today. Moving on to the lighter texture and highlights in the iris, and I'm using a white pastel pencil and adding these small lines and strokes, mainly focusing around the center portion of the iris. I'm also adding these smaller lines at the bottom and along the direction of this iris outline to make the appearance of the iris more shiny. You must have noticed that some eyes have a special shine or highlight that makes them look more attractive in photo shoots as compared to the regular pictures taken by a phone. This beautiful highlight is created by using a ring light or soft boxes. So I'm adding this rectangular box for this type of highlight to make the iris look more captivating and shiny, just like this. Now I'm darkening the outline of the eyelid and then blending the tear duct area afterwards. For the eyelash texture in the rectangular highlight, I'm using my charcoal pencil with a sharp tip to add these small but slightly curved lines very carefully. Unlike graphite pencils, charcoal pencils do not get a very sharp tip with a sharpener. So to achieve the better results, you can scrape it on a rough and textured surface like this to get a sharp and chisel tip for thin details. Or you can also use a sandpaper for this purpose if you have one. Make sure to sharpen it more oftenly as the charcoal is very soft and the tip becomes blunt very easily. Now moving on to the eyelids portion, and I'm adding these curved lines first, starting from the tear duct. These lines will act as a base layer in this specific area, and then I'm using a medium-sized dry brush to get a smooth base for future layers. I'm blending it in a circular scribbling motion to avoid any patchiness. If you don't have soft bristle brushes like the one I'm using, then you can also use cotton balls or cotton swabs for blending process. To further blend this layer, I'm using a clean tissue paper and rubbing it back and forth to achieve seamless blending. Although tissue paper gives a very smooth blending, but it starts to crumble due to the rough texture of the charcoal. So you can use cotton balls instead of a tissue paper if you want to. Now I'm adding the next layer of contrast and shadows using my charcoal pencil. While working with charcoal, always start with lighter tones and gradually build up darker values by adding more layers. Now I'm using a dry brush to blend this layer thoroughly. Moving on to the skin texture on the lid, and I'm using a white pastel with a sharp tip to add these very thin and curved strokes to mimic the skin texture. I'm adding these type of small and thin vertical lines and texture in the left portion of the eyelid. Make sure to keep the tip of your white pastel sharp so you don't get thicker lines due to blunt tip. It will mess up the whole texture. You can vary the pressure and thickness of the lines to create depth and realism in your drawing. And for the rest of the eyelid portion, I'm adding these thin and small horizontal strokes to get the desired results. I've added fine texture in the left side as there will be smaller eyelash hairs, so the texture will peek through them. For the right side, I'm adding these horizontal lines as this whole area will be covered by longer and denser eyelashes. So you don't need to invest too much of your time and energy in creating a fine texture as it will hide behind the lashes. And by the way, if you want to learn the basics of drawing first, you can join my course on Udemy. I put my course on sale for 5 days of every month. You can check the link in description to see if the sale is going on right now and get enrolled as soon as possible. Okay, so moving on to the eyelashes, and first of all I'm sharpening the tip of my charcoal pencil, and again I'm using my scraper to make a chisel tip so that I can achieve fine lines and details. Make sure to notice the length, thickness and direction of the lashes before adding them. If you are a beginner or you find this overall process difficult, before moving further with charcoal pencil, you can first add light directional lines or base lines with graphite pencil. As we know, the eyelashes are not of same length or thickness. They are usually longer and thicker towards the right corner of the eye and shorter and finer towards the left corner. Many beginners often make the mistake of adding lashes that are of same length and are parallel to each other, which does not give the eye a very good and realistic look. Also, it is not necessary to copy the exact way I'm adding these lashes. You can achieve similar results by changing the length and thickness of the lashes and adding these strokes randomly. Start at the root of the lashes and gradually flex your pencil or charcoal towards the tip, keeping the direction of the lashes in mind. This method helps the lashes look connected and give them a fuller look, just like this. Now for the sclera, I'm lightening the area first by adding the lighter layer using a white pastel pencil and then blending it afterwards. To prevent smudging or mixing of the charcoal and white pastel pencil shades, remember to use different brushes for blending each color. This will help you avoid any accidental spills or unwanted blending between the two shades. For the vein texture, I'm using a very thin and sharp tip of my charcoal pencil and adding these curved lines to mimic the required texture. Avoid making the lines too straight or too uniform, as the veins tend to have irregular shapes and paths. Then lightly blend the veins with a brush to get a more realistic and soft look. Okay, now moving on to the tear duct area, and I'm adding these sharp white highlights to make it look more shiny and watery. For the waterline on the lower eyelid, I'm adding this slightly curved line first using a white pastel pencil. And then to create the depth and to define the outline of the lower eyelid, I'm using a charcoal pencil with a sharp tip to add this small curved line. I'm also adding white line below the darker one and then blending it afterwards using a small and flat dry brush with soft bristles. Okay, so for the skin texture on the under eye portion, I'm going to repeat the similar process of adding small but curved strokes as I did before for the upper eyelid portion. Make sure that your pencil is sharp at all times while adding these small details and texture to achieve better results. I'm adding denser highlights in the area of this starting portion of the eyelashes. This step will make the lashes pop up even more. Moving on to the lower eyelashes, and first of all I'm going to sharpen the tip like this and then add these random strokes. As I said earlier, natural lashes are not perfectly symmetrical. Most beginners do this mistake by creating a repetitive pattern, and this mistake takes away the essence of realism from the drawing. Now I'm adjusting the highlight in the waterline, and during this process some of the hair strokes got dull. So I'm readjusting the contrast in these eyelashes. And with this last step, we are done with this realistic charcoal eye. It takes so much time and efforts to create this tutorial, so please leave a like if you enjoyed this one. It helps me a lot as an artist. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.